In this video, I'll be sharing 7 mistakes I made in 2023, what I learned from them, and 11 life and career reflections of 2023. I just wanted to make a video mostly for myself to share the goals that I have for next year and some reflections I have for 2023, which I think are worth documenting. And in 10 or 20 years' time, I would love to watch at this video to see ideally how far I've progressed. Number 1, learn to write killer prompts on ChatGPT 4. I love creating bots and tools to make work 10x more efficient. Learning how to use its playground will be better. I can't overly emphasize how important ChatGPT is. It has really radicalized how I've worked and it has improved my productivity by leaps and bounds. But I know in the field of AI, there's a lot more to improve. For those of you who have worked with me thoroughly, you guys know I love efficiency, right? So whether it comes to building dashboards, having ChatGPT write reports on it, I think that using ChatGPT itself is a very, very important thing, and it can definitely take away a lot of the boring, mundane tasks from you for you to focus on more important things. I suggest going to YouTube, typing what is prompt engineering, how do I write the best prompt possible, and I think that this will really help you in whatever job or fields you're in. The next one is earn with leverage. There is no going back once you have tasted it. Getting paid for thinking and decisions irrelevant of time is awesome. I'm always a fan of earning based on your output rather than hours you spend. So not to say that I have anything against a full-time job. I have a full-time job, right? But when you're in a full-time job, right, you're mostly compensated based on your hours and not your output. The one big thing I've done this year is to actually take on a lot more freelance clients. It's very interesting when you're paid based on your decisions and your results rather than spending hours on it, right? So as long as I make a good decision, I get paid. I think that's awesome. Right? Another way that I earn with leverage is options trading. So much so I actually created a separate YouTube channel from this main YouTube channel showing how I try to learn options trading the best I can. And the thing I love about options trading is that you're paid based on your decisions and not time. I can't really describe how awesome it is to earn with leverage. There are some friends in my life who have literally made a full-time living out of just earning from leverage itself, whether it's options trading, making videos on the internet, whether it's making online courses. All these things are very real ways of making money, and I'm very addicted to those means. The third reflection I have is some comedians are not funny. A bad stand-up in 2023 was Ronny Cheng. Later localization, overrated, underprepared. Jason Leong is 100 times better. I went to Ronny Cheng's stand-up show, I think it was a few months ago. It was quite bad. I don't really recommend you to go it. I've went to Jason Leong's stand-ups for about 3 times now. All of it was really, really funny. I think he has a stand-up next year in the Singapore, July. So I'll definitely be going for that. Next reflection is running a marathon is not impossible. Take 6 months to progressively prepare for it. Find a training plan, buddy or partner. Nothing in the last 10 km will make it hurt less. Read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I ran with my girlfriend Hazel and my army friends as well. So running it together, committing yourself to those daunting tasks, right, will actually get a lot of shit done. I'm very proud and happy that Hazel and all my army friends managed to push it through, and it was a really memorable experience. So for anyone who thinks running a marathon is impossible, I encourage you to try maybe just a half marathon first, right? Do the math backwards. One of my army friends, Cheng Xie, he even did the math, right? You can technically walk a half marathon or a full marathon if you know what you're doing. You do the math, calculate it backwards, it is very possible. The next reflection is some relationships should not start. I was tired of hearing friends break up with their partners over silly reasons. I created a custom poker card deck called the 52 questions to ask before getting married card deck. Last year, I always had the plan of creating like a physical product of sorts that I would be proud of. This was actually the product that I created, which is the 52 questions to ask before getting married poker card deck. It has been sort of a flop mostly because I did not put a lot of effort to market it, right? The reason why I actually created this, right, because I have many friends breaking up, in my opinion, for really stupid reasons. I think having meaningful conversations with one another is extremely important. This was actually inspired from a book I read, 101 Questions to Ask Before Getting Engaged, because when I first met my current girlfriend, Hazel, right, I immediately wanted to align values as much as possible with her. And I think the only way to really do that is via questions, right? So I really encourage anyone dating or whether you're married, go through this 101 questions to ask before getting engaged. There is a little bit of a religious context to it, but I think it's a very great framework for couples to get to know each other in a deeper manner. The reason why I created these poker card decks, right, it also serves more as the same function to the book. There are 52 questions for you to align expectations and values with your partner. Right? I'm not saying that this deck will definitely bring your relationship to the next level, but what I can guarantee from using this deck, from really answering the questions in details, you get to know the other person on a deeper layer, and hopefully you'll be able to identify whether this person is a good fit for you or not at this current juncture of your life. At the same time, this year I've been doing a lot more freelance work with lawyers specifically, right? If there's one type of cases where lawyers handle, it will be divorce cases. And I'm not saying that divorces are bad, because they're bound to happen. Things happen, right, in a relationship. As much as possible, I want to equip myself with framework and tools to avoid that as much as possible. For that to happen, you can use tools such as this to align it with your partner at the very, very start of the relationship. One thing you do know is that divorces cost a lot of money. I was thinking, if you want to possibly prevent going through a divorce in your lifetime, right, why not just spend and invest up front, whether it's spending money on books or whether it's spending money on this, that. At the same time, I feel like having these kind of very tough questions, people might not be in the right mood or state to answer every single one of these questions, and people need to be open to answering these questions. Why not mix the element of playing games together with it? So it's a poker card deck. You can play any games you want, bridge, Taiti. Should you come across a question where you don't mind answering and opening up in terms of being vulnerable to your partner or loved ones, this serves as a good way to better develop relationships for the next level. Thing as well, if I can show it to you over here, I've been able to sell a few dozen decks, but not as many as I hope, right? So if you want a free one, add me on LinkedIn. Link is in the video description. Next, earn as much as possible as long as it doesn't cost your mental health. Expand horizons. Why not double or triple your income? There was a time where I thought that earning $5,000 per month is an impossible thing until I shattered it. There was a time I thought earning $10,000 a month would be impossible until I shattered it. There was a time where I thought earning $20,000 a month would be impossible. I have not shattered it, but it is not impossible to reach based on my life experience of what I have achieved so far, right? So to me, many of the conversations I have with all my friends, right, is all about not having enough money. So I'm really a biggest fan of earning as much as you can. Even if you have a full-time job, I have a full-time job, I still make the time to see how I can earn additional income sources. So my income sources mostly come from my job, freelance. I do teach a couple of piano students, which brings me at least $1,000 a month. I do have online course. I'm trying to have this challenge every single year, right? Can I double my income every single year? And I think that's a very interesting challenge to pose to myself. It's not really the money that matters at the end of the day. It's a byproduct of forcing yourself to be the best version of yourself. That's what I want to challenge myself to see if I can double my income every single year. So this is a tough one, but I believe with the right processes, with the right learnings, I will be able to get there. Next is health is wealth. A healthy person wants 10,000 things. A sick person wants one thing. I fell sick many times with COVID, flu, cough, stomach flu. If you're not healthy, think about what it'll cost if you don't change. I hate it when I fall sick, right? I had many goals of growing this YouTube channel. I know I fell sick maybe in April, so I only really published videos consistently for about 3 or 4 months. Then after that, I dropped off, right? Then there are many other things that came into play, preparing for a marathon, freelancing. If you don't have a good body, right, you can't do any single things. Next, a great boss is great, but a working culture is a effing unicorn. It's inevitable to bitch about bosses and working colleagues. Nothing's ever perfect. If you find one close enough, be grateful. It's a unicorn. I'm very fortunate in my life to have very great bosses, because a boss is only one person, but your colleagues are everything. So I'm very fortunate to work in an environment where I have very great colleagues, people that I trust, people I work with, people I don't gossip about. I just want to do the best work that I can within this environment itself. So for anyone applying to new jobs, I really encourage you, right, instead of just talking to the hiring manager, right, can you request to talk to the team members? Try to get a sensing of how the vibes is between your colleagues, right? That to me is one of the very important things I look out for, and I know that working in a great culture will really make your work a lot easier as well. So I'm right now in Caliber. There's really a lot of great opportunities, great people, and I'm very grateful to be where I am right now. Next is to prioritize actions over outcomes. I got this from my Alex Hormozi YouTube video. Whether if it's prospecting to sell more or applying for a job, focus on the actions leading you towards your goals. One thing I fell short of is prioritizing on outcome, right? So let's say if I have a particular income goal, once I reached it, I tend to slack off a little bit, right? But the truth is I can prioritize a lot more actions that will lead to more of that outcome. So whether it's calling more people, emailing more people, putting yourself out there to a greater degree, we should always prioritize towards getting the work done itself rather than prioritizing on the outcome. So I think that's just a reminder to myself to focus on the actions, things that I need to consistently do every single day, then being as disciplined as I can. That's something I want to remind myself and remind my future self, that you should always prioritize actions over outcomes. So whether it's applying for jobs, right, if you are finding a new opportunity, can you prioritize the actions over the outcome? Can you prioritize sending out 3 CVs every single month for the whole year and not prioritize on the outcome of whether you're getting a job offer or not? Because I'm fairly confident if you consistently send 3 CVs increase every single month, right? You should be able to get better job offers because honestly, it's just a numbers game at this point. Next, it is never too early to start planning for retirement. I spent 10 hours automating an Excel sheet on how to plan for retirement. PM me for the link. This is probably a video I'll make for a separate occasion, but I think retirement is extremely important, right? So I created this Excel sheet. It looks very complicated, but it's meant to point you in the right direction of how much you need if you really want to retire. And I believe that for 90% of us, retirement is something that we want to work towards. And if you want to work towards at a faster rate, right? I have one of my colleagues telling me she wants to retire at 40. If that is your end goal, then you need to put steps and backtrack what you need to do today to reach your goal by 40 or 45 or 50, whatever age you choose to retire. So please let me know down in the comment section if you want this. I'll be happy to send this to you. The last reflection is 2 is better than 1. I think it really helps to have someone beside you in terms of sharing your struggles, journey, and trying our best to be the best version of ourselves. And I think that Hazel has definitely done that for me. Hi, if you're watching me, the ideal end goal for any relationship, in my opinion, is to help each other become the best versions of ourselves. Not the best version of what I think she should be in my eyes, or the best version of myself or what she thinks, but the best version of ourselves in our own perspectives, right? So I think that is something that's very empowering. It gives you a never-ending source of energy, in my opinion. I think that really helps as well. Let me go on to another 7 mistakes I've made in 2023 and what I learned from them. First mistake I made is being greedy. One trade is all it takes to blow up your trading account if you don't know what you're doing. If you guys aren't sure, again, I'm very obsessed about options trading nowadays. I actually made one trade that cost me almost 5 figures. I've actually earned a lot more than I lost, but it was just one trade that I took which really punch me in the face, right? How this might be applicable to you, right? Don't fall for any get rich quick schemes. I consider myself to be very educated on this front, but even so, right, when it comes to the temptation, right, I think I was being greedy. I didn't do enough homework. Next one is being distracted. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Focus no more than just a few desires to achieve. Right now, I've limited my desires to only 3 for now. I got this concept from Naval Ravikant, and he says actually to just limit it to only 1, but I really want to achieve 3 desires. 1 is to double my annual income of 2023. 2 is to become a better trader. And 3, sell my poker card decks. The next mistake I made was always working. Taking a break has its benefits. I finally took some time off work to travel, to rewind, which helped. I first traveled this year, and the last time I traveled was in 2019 to New York, right? So I really think that taking a break really clears your mind, helps you reprioritize on what you really want. The next mistake I made was forgetting the importance of LTV. Profits on a customer long term always beat a singular purchase. So the business models that I really like and prefer, right, it's business that collects cash from its customer over a long horizon. Even this card game, right, is the possibly one of the worst business because this is only one product. If I'm selling it to people, it's just a one-time payment of this product, right? So I realized that the better businesses to do, right, would be something that's more consistent over the long-term horizon. So let's say whether it be a music school, you're collecting revenue from your customers for months and years. Maybe it's a swimming school. Maybe it's a subscription. I think those things are something that I really want to prioritize towards. Fifth, lacking discipline and consistency. I think I've already talked about this, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. Hating pain. Embracing pain can truly drive meaningful change should you want to use it. So let me take this chance to show you a book I'm currently reading. I know it's very cliche. This is another Tony Robbins book I'm reading. I've been reading Tony Robbins materials for quite a while, just that I haven't read this book specifically, right? And it really gives you some tangible tips in terms of trying to make a positive change in your life. And one concept that this book talks about is utilizing the concept of pain and pleasure. If I can be very transparent to share my experience, right? Halfway through the year, right, I actually had this very unpleasant call with a client at my full-time job, and it made me, in a sense, not to say hate what I'm doing, but I hated the fact that I didn't have much control over the clients that I worked. And this happened in the middle of the year. And I hated the call so much to a point, right, when after I got off the call, I requested to take 5 days off leave to just like clear my mind because I was so angry, right? During that week, I did a lot of contemplation. There are a lot of thoughts that I thought of. What can I do in my position to not be in this position anymore, right? So of course the easy way is to just quit my job and do other things. The overall conclusion I came to, right, ideally you want to place yourself in a position to have as much control as possible. The biggest reflection I have from that, right, is that if I could diversify my cash flow in a sense whereby I'm not fully reliant on a full-time job, then that gives me the power to, not to say I want to quit my full-time job. If ever there comes a case where I am taking on too many clients which are unreasonable, which are not respective of my opinions. I don't want to put myself in such a position anymore. How do I do that? Is to outsource my income, whether that's doing more freelance stuff, teaching more piano, whatever the case, right? I think the mistake I made in 2023 was to hate pain. And I know this sounds super counterintuitive. Of course, I'm not talking about any violence. I'm just talking about emotional pain, right? If you look at pain, you can use pain to make a positive change in your life. The pain that I had on the client call, which I had no control of, right, in terms of choosing, because I was in a job that required me to service this client. I took this pain and then used that anger to take the diversification of my income to another level, right? And I'm very happy to say that I've sort of achieved it for now. I know looking back, I really hated the pain, but on hindsight, I think it's a good thing. So maybe you're in a situation where you are facing pain, right? I know it sounds like a very sadistic question to ask yourself, right? But is there any way that you can use that pain that you're experiencing to drive yourself towards the goals that you want to achieve, that will get yourself out of the pain and give you more pleasure? So I would really recommend everyone to pick up a copy of this book. Just give it a try. I think some people would say it's super preachy. My perspective of it is that if you really read this book, understand the concepts, and most importantly, practice what is in a book, I truly think it would bring benefits to whatever that you're doing in your current lives. I hate that December is always a reflection period, right? Why not do reflection every single month or every single week, right? And that's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of, to be a little bit more conscious of my thoughts, actions, of how I want to be the best version of myself. And I also want to be the best version of myself to help others be the best version of themselves, right? I know probably no one is watching this, right? But if you are watching, please leave a comment down in the section. Tell me what kind of content you want. Give me any feedbacks, comments. If you hated this video, please let me know if you hated it. I really appreciate it. That's all for this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.